Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Lisa. Okay, it's a book haul. I'm filming this on May 12th. It's my birthday. Yay! So of course you know what that means. I went shopping and bought a pile of books. Because you know, I need more books. There is quite a selection here. I've got some fiction, I've got quite a bit of non-fiction, and the topics are all over the place. There's, again, famously in my recent reads or book hauls or whatever I do, I'm all over the map. I'm a reader who likes a variety of things to read. I tend not to read a lot of like mainstream or like hot new release kind of like stuff, but I do have a couple of those in this book haul, so let's get to it. Okay, on the top of the stack is Dopamine Nation, Finding Balance in the Age of Indulgence by Anna Lembke. So this kind of spoke to me when I saw this. This has been out this is not a new release, this has been out for a little while. And I thought it sounded really interesting. It's basically talks about our like click culture, like an instant gratification, and our addiction to like that dopamine release when we get likes or when we get followers or when we get tweets or whatever. And these things kind of come at us 24/7. So this book is about how to find balance among all of that stuff. So it looks good. It doesn't look like a overly long or challenging read. I think it would just be kind of something to sit and kind of take in when I'm feeling introspective or yeah, I don't know. So it just kind of really spoke to me, and I think it's going to be really interesting and give some insight into our behavior and what drives us when it comes to our dopamine receptors. So that's Dopamine Nation. I'll report back and let you know how it went. All right, next up is some philosophy. Epictetus, Discourses and Selected Writing. So Epictetus was a Greek Stoic philosopher. So this is just a little collection of readings, I would say essays, that I don't think you even have to sit down and read it from cover to cover. Like I think I can just pick through it and read it. But it sounds just interesting, and I'm always up for a good philosophy book. One thing I do find is like I used to really be into kind of the self-help genre, but I find that and Dopamine Nation, which I just talked about, was in the self-help section of the bookstore, so I still do occasionally go over there, but I find that I tend to gravitate more to the philosophy section more than I do the self-help section anymore. I just like, this is where it all kind of started, I think. So I don't know, I just think reading some philosophy every once in a while balances out what I'm reading, and it's good for insight. So I'll let you know what I think about it. All right, this next book, I don't know if I'm gonna keep it or not. It's another non-fiction. I kind of picked this up on a whim. It was on sale, and then I had a coupon, and then I'm a Plum Plus member, so I got this book for like 15 bucks or something, or maybe 17, so like less than the sale price. So I don't know, we'll see. It looks funny is what it is. It's called A Brief History of the End of the Effing World by Tom Phillips. So I think this is more of a humorous account about how humans have always been waiting for the end of days and the end of times, and the apocalypse is coming. And it's kind of like he sits down and talks about all the, you know, throughout human history, you know, we've spent thousands of years pondering that the end of days is coming, and it's always really soon. Yet, you know, here we all are. So anyway, it's kind of like a humorous take. It says, on everything from the holy warriors with their destruction in their wake to bored suburbanites waiting for the aliens to rescue them. So it sounds kind of humorous, on what would maybe be taken as a serious topic. So I grabbed it. It sounded kind of interesting in the moment. I'll flick through it. If it's something that I don't think it's for me, you know, Indigo, where I get a lot of books from, they've got a really good return policy for a couple of weeks. So I'll have a look at it and see if it's something I think I may get to or may want, and I'll let you know. So that was a brief history to the end of the effing world. The next three I have here are fiction, and then I've got some more nonfiction to cover. I kind of put them together kind of because they're more related. The three fiction I got are not things I would typically read, but they sounded interesting. So first is the new Emily Henry release. Again, this was on sale and I had a coupon and everything. So I got this brand new beautiful hardback for I think less than 25 bucks. And it was, and I do have a couple of, I'm pretty sure I have Happy People and Beach Read. Beach Read's the yellow one, right? Of hers, and I haven't read them yet. But I just love the cover and it sounds cool. So this book, what it sounds like is kind of like what Evelyn Hugo, I just talked about Evelyn Hugo in a previous video about how a woman was commissioned to come write this aging starlet's like spill all memoirs. And this sounds kind of similar, but instead it's two people being commissioned and kind of being interviewed to win the rights to like write this memoir, or to whoever this person is. But she makes them sign ironclad NDAs so they can't talk with each other, and she only gives each of them parts of the stories. So they both have to do some pre-writing, I think, to see if they can get the job. But it sounds like based on the information that they're getting, it's like they're writing two different books. But I don't know. That's all I know. I hear lots of great things about Emily Henry, hence I'm, you know, picking up her books when I see them come out or whenever they go on sale. And, you know, every once in a while, in between reading all my kind of heavier nonfiction books, I do like something like this, and it sounds like fun. So I thought, well, why not? Let's give it a shot. So that's Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. Okay, in similar vein, I picked up a new book by Frederick Bachmann, My Friends. So I haven't read this author before, and he's all over the place. He wrote like Beartown and Anxious People and A Man Called Ove, which I hear was absolutely spectacular. So he's got quite a bit of a back catalog. So I saw this as a new release. First of all, I love the cover. I'm a sucker for a good cover. I admit it. I'm in. So this sounds like a story of a woman who's in possession of a painting, and she is trying to figure out the origins of the painting. And and then I think it's a dual timeline. I think then we go and we kind of learn about the actual people that were featured in this painting, and then somehow it's going to connect. So it sounded like a really nice story, kind of contemporary fiction. I don't know like again what the pacing is going to be like. If this is probably sounds more like literary fiction. The Emily Henry sounds like maybe it could be a romance or something, but this sounds more like contemporary fiction. So we'll see what happens and how I get along with it, and if I like it, I might be motivated to pick up more of this author's back catalog because I've heard a lot about him. So that's My Friends by Frederick Bachmann. The last fiction book I have was a total, basically it was put in my hand by the bookstore lady. It's called Every Summer After by Carley Fortune. So another Canadian author. Again, I'm proud to support and happy to support Canadian authors. I think this book is set in Toronto. It sounds like she's got some other books and they all have similar covers and they're beautiful covers. I think it's a romance. Again, not something I would pick up. Like very rarely do I pick up romance. It's not my go-to genre, but you know, I'm in for a try. So I'm happy to say that this is a debut. So the reason I got this is because it was like I think I got it for like $8 or something. Like it was like on sale, and it was Mother's Day special, and then I had my coupon and all kinds of stuff. So okay, I'll take it. I'll try it. And I have seen other booktubers talk about this author. Yeah, so this is the debut novel. So I'm glad it's her first one anyway, because I haven't read her other stuff. So I'll see what it's all about and I'll report back. Okay, the next 3 are kind of related. So the next one I got is Ikeman in Jerusalem by Hannah Arendt. And I talked a little bit more extensively about this in my previous video where I talked about my recent reads. I did pick this up as part of the same book haul and did read this in like 2 days, a day and a half. So it's just quickly, if you didn't watch that other video, it's fine. Quickly, it's Hannah Arendt is a philosopher, and she went to Jerusalem to watch the trial of Adolf Eichmann. So Eichmann was a Nazi official in the Nazi regime, and after the fall of the Nazis, he fled the country and ended up ultimately in Argentina, and that's where he was found and dragged back to Europe by the Israelis and tried in Jerusalem for war crimes and crimes against humanity and crimes against the Jewish people. He was basically he was involved with the architecture of the Holocaust in terms of, it was his job to make sure the trains were full and they ran on time, and he made all the schedules for all the trains that took all the people to the Holocaust, like to the concentration camps and the extermination camps. And he was he was a monster. But what Hannah Arendt argues is that he wasn't a monster in the means of how people thought about these people, like how only a monster or somebody who's evil or sociopath or whatever could possibly be involved with crimes like this that he was accused of and ultimately convicted of. And she says what made him especially dangerous and especially a monster was how banal he was. Like, it's the subtitle is a report on the banality of evil, because he was just like this boring, nerdy, moronic bureaucrat who was so obsessed with following orders, bureaucracy, checking boxes, and being compliant and climbing the corporate ladder, like getting promoted within the Nazi party, that he made no connection, gave no thought to the consequences of his role and what happened and how he had, the blood on his hands of millions of people. And he came out, saying, defending himself, saying, I never personally killed anybody. I had no hatred. He wasn't against people. He was just doing his job, right? And of course that didn't hold up in court and they did hang him. But it was really interesting, and her argument is about how he was so ordinary, and that's what made him a monster. And when this book came out, it was crazy controversy. She took a lot of heat because it almost, people thought she was almost defending him, and she's like, I'm not. Like, she agreed he got what he deserved, and he was definitely stood for crimes that he was accused of and he committed, but it was how he was so ordinary that made it, it was a really compelling, if you're interested at all in World War II or the Holocaust, reading stuff like this is really interesting. And it also really kind of helps put, even currently, this was a long time ago, right? This is 60 years ago or ish, more 65 years ago that this trial happened. So it kind of really also helps put perspective on bureaucracy today, in government, about how following orders and being a loyalist above all and a conformist without independent critical thought about your actions and their consequences and what that can result in, I think it's still an important story to read and to know about stuff like this. So anyway, I picked it up, I read it, I thought it was fascinating. Yeah, and yeah, he was a monster, but in a non-conventional way. So that was that one. Okay, and then the next one I picked up, because that was by Hannah Arendt, I picked up her next book, which is called The Origins of Totalitarianism. And I think actually this one was published first, if I'm not mistaken. So this is kind of a subject that I'm quite interested in. And I did talk about Strongman in my previous video too, by Ruth Ben-Gate. I highly recommend this if you're interested in learning about the fascist tendencies and dictatorships that have existed in the past and that exist now, and how Donald Trump has fascist tendencies. This is really, really interesting. And it's the similar playbook that all these guys have. It's fascinating. So I highly recommend this book. But I picked this one up because it's specifically about totalitarian societies and its origins. And after reading the book about Ikeman in Jerusalem and her writing, again, she's a philosopher, I thought this was going to be very fascinating. And it is, her definitive work on this topic. And I think it still stands as an important text in today's context to learn about these types of government regimes, why they still exist, and how they get started and take grip, and the movements behind them. So anyway, I'm fascinated. I don't know if I'm going to get this anytime soon, because I kind of have another reading project underway, which will lead me into my last book on this list. So let me get it out. Okay, the last book I have in this book haul is called Iron Curtain by Anne Applebaum, The Crushing of Eastern Europe from 1944 to 1956. So this is all about after the end of World War II up until the mid-50s, when communism established itself throughout Eastern Europe. So all those Eastern European countries that came into the grip of the Soviet Union and were behind the Iron Curtain. So it's kind of like, and what happened to the people that didn't live in a communist society before and suddenly they are, and what happened on all their personal property, it's just gone, and you're working for like the common good, and the state takes and gets everything, and the mass starvations that happened, and oh my god, it's gonna be heartbreaking. Anyway, so I'm quite interested in this. I teased a little bit about in my other video, that I'm kind of entering an era of wanting to learn about Russian history and the different eras of the USSR and of Russia, and so I bought this because it's part of that bigger kind of study and read I want to do about Russian politics, or not just politics, but Russian society and culture. And another reason I got this too is because my son just got back from Europe. He was in France, like at Normandy, Dunkirk, and Juneau, and then he went through Belgium and then into Amsterdam as part of a school trip. They were there for the 80th anniversary of the Canadians liberating Normandy and Amsterdam and all that as part of World War II. So he was at some of those big ceremonies and stuff like that, and he saw like the war museums, and they went to the Canadian cemeteries and all that kind of stuff. And the teacher I was talking to when at the baggage claim, when the kids all got back, he said they're going to do another school trip in a couple years. They do one every 2 years. And the next one they want to do is, the theme of that trip is going to be called the Iron Curtain. So they're going to go to all these old Eastern Soviet bloc countries, go through Germany and the former Czechoslovakia, maybe. I don't know if they're going to go that far south, but anyway, basically I have to start saving my money because my son's a total history nerd and he's going to want to go. But anyway, so I picked up Iron Curtain by Anne Applebaum, and I am collecting some of her other books that she's written. She's a very well-known Russian historian, and I'm just excited to get to this. Okay, so that's what I got. That's my recent book haul. A little bit of everything. Dictators, romance, philosophy, Stoic philosophy, typical Lisa. I'm all over the map. So I very much read what I'm in the mood for, and sometimes in the mood for really easy. Sometimes I'm in the mood for just reading something with a few paragraphs that I can just open and flip through. And then other days I want to delve into, you know, the historic policies of communist Russia. So that's where I'm at. That's what I've been up to. I'll keep you posted. I have, like I said, I want to do a whole separate video about my entrance into Russian history and culture, but I'm probably going to break that up into a different set of videos because there's so much and I'm just getting started. So I'll keep you posted on all that. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a great day, afternoon, or night, wherever you may be, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay? Bye. 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 That's what you get for buying so many books. Can I get them in frame? I think that's gonna have to do it.